Do you know what? I actually spoke to Jason Wilcox in the summer. I spoke about it a little bit at the time, but I did come away thinking, Man United here have got someone that knows what they're doing. And I spoke to a few people that work for the club, and he had little interactions with people, and everyone had come away saying, I'm impressed with him. Now he's gone on record speaking ahead of the Nottingham Forest game, and everything he's said has confirmed what I had as a first impression of him and what all the people behind the scenes at the club had as a first impression of him. Wilcox has got a plan, and a clear plan, and it feels like everybody at the club is moving in that same direction. Now, no coincidence that this comes after 3 straight Premier League wins. There was always going to be the case of the directors talking to the media when the time is right. They were never going to do it on the back of getting our arse handed to us by Manchester City or getting dunked out of the cup by Grimsby. But the mood is high at the moment. You might as well come and have some of these short-term sort of celebrations and insights when they're going to be better received. So he's talking about the mood at the camp, and he said the mood has not changed, to be honest. Not sure about that, but you have to take him at his word. When you lose football matches, of course we are disappointed, but we know we are making progress. That line, I think, is very interesting if you believe it, and I'm not sure I do, but I think it tells you everything. They're building a football department that doesn't swing with the results. Even if we as a fan base and the media in general does, them lot, never too high, never too low. They're keeping things quite even keeled, and that I think is very important. No panic when we lose, no over celebrating when we win. That I like, because that's process thinking. That's something that the club has probably lacked for a good decade. And I think it was clear and maybe showing a little bit of alignment with Jim Ratcliffe, because Jim Ratcliffe also was like, we're going to judge him after 3 years. Now that, by the way, was such strategic sort of placement coming out from Jim Ratcliffe, because we've gone on this run since. All the noise was about get rid of the manager at that time, and they came out and went, actually, you need to judge him after 3 years. And that calmed a lot of the noise down at the right time, and we've gone on this run since. It might be a coincidence, it might be related, but either way, I don't know. Now, he did also praise Wilcox, praised Amorim's approach. He says, Ruben and the lads are fully prepared. We know what we are going to get at Nottingham Forest. They have got a good playing squad, and it's going to be a really difficult game for us. Again, measured, humble, reinforcing standards. And standards is something that comes across a lot in this talk. He talked about recruitment, and this is where he does sound like a genuine sporting director. He said the new signings have settled in really quickly. Mateus and Brian had Premier League experience, so that was quicker, but Benji and Sen have transitioned really well. We are really pleased. They're good guys, they're top professionals, top players, and we're optimistic we're going in the right direction. And I think the line good guys means more than people think, because culture is a word that's been thrown around. Toxicity has been a word that's been thrown around. Wilcox is aware of that. And we're not just signing talented footballers, because we've signed talented footballers and it's gone absolutely tits up, hasn't it? We're building culture here. We've got plenty of big name players that have come in over the years and not bought in and added to what we're doing. But this group of players, Matthias Cunha, Brian Mbumo, Sesko, San Lamen, this feels deliberate, balanced, character-led, hungry. And then when he says, we've got a clear plan, well, I believe him. I believe he's got a clear plan. When I spoke to him, that stood out. There was absolutely clarity around long-term vision. There was clarity around his role. There was no panic in terms of what we were seeing, because the performances on the tour weren't amazing. But there was sort of like a real understanding of what his role was and what they needed to do. And yes, alignment of recruitment, academy, data, coaching, everything all feeds into that one identity. And that's how elite clubs operate. That's what City did. And, they built a bit of a dynasty. And Wilcox knows it, because he was part of that machine at City before joining United, as was Barada. And I think them two coming over together, it shows we've got people who know what they're doing in the right areas, I think. Now, he admitted that there's going to be setbacks still, and there will be. There's still going to be, like, we're on this 3-game run at the moment. It will come to an end. It could come to an end this weekend. It could come to an end next weekend. It will come to an end. But it's then, how do you get over that and go back again? He says, I'm sure there are going to be bumps in the road, but we've just got to make sure we stay calm, irrespective of the noise outside. I love that. Again, that's leadership. Compare that to the chaos of the last few years where one bad result seems like everybody's looking over their shoulder and walking around on eggshells. I don't think that clip of him and Amorim pissing themselves together in the middle of all of that pressure was for the cameras. I think that they've created an environment where it is quite relaxed. Wilcox is telling everyone internally and now externally, you lot trust this process. You know, we no longer have the crisis briefings coming out. Yeah, we had a lot of noise over the last month or so prior to this little 3-game streak. But we didn't have the players coming, like the noise of the players are saying this, the players are saying that. Little dressing room leaks. They've largely gone away. Stay calm, keep working, don't chase the headlines. And you can feel that shift, can't you? Yes, it's only 3 wins, but there's absolutely more composure about the place. No one's pretending the job's done. In fact, Wilcox literally says, we've won 3 games in a row, but we've got to make it 4. That's the only way we're going to get the club back to the top is by driving standards. Again, standards is that word. The players and Ruben are certainly doing that on a daily basis. And I like that. The phrase standards came up a hell of a lot in that interview. It's not corporate fluff. I think it's cultural architecture. It's what they're trying to put together is standards, standards, standards. He's putting standards at the centre of what United do again. And I like that. And he touched on what's next. And this might be the best bit of the interview, to be honest. We know what we've got to do. We know the areas of the team that we've got to improve. For us to get into the top 4 and consistently challenge for the Champions League places, win Champions Leagues, win Premier Leagues, we have got to invest in the squad. The right players who are talented but can also deal with the pressure. That entire paragraph is right on the nose for me. And he continues, he says, it's not always about signing elite talent. We've got to get the right character and somebody that can bring something different to the team. Now, that is a football man speaking. That's not someone that's playing FIFA, spinning around in a fucking chair in Mayfair, which is what we've had in the past. There's no marquee signings. There's no talk about how many Instagram followers they've got. There's no talk here about how many interactions their signing's going to do on fucking Twitter. This is someone talking about football, football, football. Someone's thinking about how the players are going to fit in, not just into a system, but how they're going to fit into a dressing room and how they raise the collective level. And then he finishes with the mentality that's been absolutely missing from the hierarchy at United for too long. He says, we're always looking to improve, and anybody who works at Manchester United should be thinking the same, and they do. With the standards we are driving every day. And that's the change of that's the difference between him and Woodward in a single paragraph. No, when I had a chat with him months ago, it impressed me that this was a football guy. We spoke about football. We spoke about kids coaching and we had a real football conversation. If it wasn't for the fact it was in the internals of the stadium, was it in Chicago? I think it was in Chicago. It could have been stood on the terraces watching non-league. It could have been in the pub. Like, he doesn't talk like a PR man. He doesn't talk like a banker. He speaks like a football fan that understands systems, culture, and accountability. And unlike me, he's done it at the fucking highest levels. You know, and he's there at training. You see him watching training. You see him talking to the players. You see him calculating and evaluating stuff, and he doesn't get carried away, and he's grounded, and he's exactly what United have fucking needed after years of chaos. Now, talk is cheap. Results are what matter. But when you combine what the gaffer's trying to do and done, and the way he goes about it, what Wilcox brings, what Barada brings, and I'll tell you who else is doing a little bit as well, Vival, and we'll be talking about him later this week. There's clearly something forming. It's not hype, it is progress. Measured, sustainable, real, but it will take us time. Do not expect to be like done by the end of November, right? it's still going to take a while. So we'll get there. We'll get there with these guys in charge. I think we will, because these guys impress me. And I think the other thing is as well, with Sir Jim sort of sitting above all of this, like all he wants is United to be successful, but he's not mental about it. I think we'll get it done. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you lot in the next one. Laters.